The world is in ruins, and giant monsters called klaxosaurs have brought humans close to extinction. To fight back, humans have artificially created special children known as parasites. These children are trained to operate large robots called Franxx, always in boy-girl pairs. A group of 10 parasites is chosen for an experiment and placed in Squad 13 at a place called Plantation 13. One of them, Hiro, used to be a top pilot candidate, but now he cannot connect with his partner, which causes him to fail his training. He skips his team's graduation and wanders off. There, he meets 02, a famous and feared Franxx pilot. She has red horns and klaxosaur blood, and many believe she brings danger to anyone who partners with her. The story begins with 02 explaining the legend of the giant bird, a creature that can only fly when paired with a partner. It only has one wing, so it depends on finding its other half. Even though it seems sad, 02 finds it beautiful. A flashback shows her as a child, walking alone in the snow. Her skin is red, and horns grow from her head. She looks at her bleeding finger with blue blood. A group of klaxosaurs appears behind her, but her attention shifts to a bird flying in the sky. Later, the scene jumps forward, showing her happily walking through a path full of cherry blossoms beside a boy. In the present, 02 rides an aircraft. She says she wants a bath, but the people around her think she should behave more properly. Dr. Franxx complains about her being difficult and says her partner is still recovering from the last battle. She asks Nana if the place they are going has an ocean, but Nana tells her it does not. She is not interested in a normal shower and seems disappointed. Before landing, she licks her wrist and says she hates how she tastes. Elsewhere, Hiro, a failed pilot, talks about the same giant bird. He says it hides in trees, waiting for a partner, and calls it a pitiful creature. He believes he understands how it feels. Hiro is lying in bed when he gets a message from Ichigo, his squad leader and childhood friend, asking him to attend a ceremony. He hears a sound and finds a bird injured after hitting a window. Looking up, he sees the aircraft carrying 02. She notices him too and says she has found something. At the boarding house, the squad talks about 02. Rumors say she has horns, fangs, and every partner who rides with her dies after 3 attempts. Some team members believe the story, others are unsure. Ichigo tries contacting Hiro again but gets no response. Goro, her friend, checks in with her. Some teammates think Hiro is quitting after what happened with his last partner, Naomi. Mitsuru says people should try to understand how Hiro must feel, but the others disagree. Back on the aircraft, Dr. Franxx and Nana talk about the upcoming trial for the current unit. Nana asks why the doctor chose this team and this facility, but he keeps his reasons vague. He says something feels off, but no one at Ape listens to him. They agree to attend the ceremony. At that moment, 02 is missing, which annoys her partner. Hiro follows a trail of blood, thinking the bird he saw earlier might still be alive. He reaches a lake he doesn't recognize. Clothes are hanging from a tree. They look different from his squad's uniforms. Then he sees a naked girl swimming. She disappears underwater for a long time. Hiro panics and runs into the lake, thinking she drowned. Suddenly, she pops up with a fish in her mouth. It is 02. Hiro is stunned by her horns and her body. He can't stop staring. She comes close to him and sniffs him, then talks about the water.
What?
She thought it would taste like the ocean. Hiro tells her it's just a lake. She says it's the closest thing to the sea she could find. She then jokes about him staring and calls him a pervert because he is holding her underwear. Hiro apologizes. She thanks him for trying to save her. 02 asks if Hiro is a parasite. He tells her he failed and can't pilot anymore. He feels useless and blames himself for what happened to Naomi. She tells him that she also struggles to find a partner because of her horns. She encourages him to take what he needs if he can't find where he belongs. She suddenly pulls him into the water and licks him, saying she likes how he tastes. She asks if he wants to be her partner, her darling. Before he can reply, they are interrupted by 81, who tells her to leave. Hiro watches as she is taken away and learns her name is 02. Afterward, he finds the bird has died. The next day, Squad 13 attends a ceremony. Their leader, Papa, praises them. Zorom and Futoshi are amazed to see adults. Hiro, watching from a distance, explains how only paired children, called parasites, can pilot weapons called Franxx. Those who cannot fly are useless. Hiro has decided to leave. Ichigo looks distracted, and Goro reminds her to focus. Later, Hiro receives documents telling him to return to the orphanage. Hachai, the squad supervisor, asks him to think again about leaving. Naomi, Hiro's former partner, cries nearby. He remembers when they failed their test together. Naomi tries to convince Hiro to stay. She asks if he is leaving because of her. He says he is no good. She scolds him for giving up. She tells him he is lucky to get another chance. Then she says goodbye. As she leaves, Naomi tosses her luggage to Hiro and smiles. She thanks him for giving her a name and hopes he finds a better partner. Somewhere else, 02 says she smells a klaxosaur. The startup ritual begins, but fog rolls in and causes a delay. Hiro is about to board the ride to the orphanage when a Klaxosaur attacks Naomi's transport. The plantation begins firing, but the monster moves toward the area where the parasites and Franxx units are kept. Hiro runs toward them. The Klaxosaur tries to break into the Franxx chamber. Dr. Franxx identifies it as a rare moho class and admires its beauty. Nana focuses on the evacuation. Strelizia, 02's Franxx, suddenly appears and begins fighting the Klaxosaur. It is in stampede mode. Officials worry, saying she has burned through another partner. They wonder who the real monster is, 02 or the Klaxosaur. Strelizia gets thrown into the plantation and lands near Hiro. 81 falls out of the cockpit, dying. 02 is injured but determined to keep fighting. She says she must protect the others, even if it means dying. Hiro begs her to stop. He says he wants to help, even if he is a failure. He says he wants to pilot with her. 02 warns him about the danger, but he agrees anyway. She finally gives in and pulls him into the cockpit. She kisses him, calling him her darling. The Franxx activates and defeats the Klaxosaur with ease. Everyone watches in shock. Nana can't believe what she is seeing. Dr. Franxx simply calls it beautiful. He explains that when male and female hearts become one, the true power of the Franxx is revealed. Strelizia shows this power. After the battle, 02 carries Hiro out of the cockpit. He is unconscious. His teammates are surprised. Nana tells them that 02 is not an ordinary girl, she is Klaxosaur blood. 02 smiles and says she has found her darling. Repairs are underway at Plantation 13 after the Klaxosaur attack. Hiro stands with Nana and watches as Squad 13 connects and activates their Franxx units. He explains that the ritual restarted the next day, but the adults, including Papa, are no longer present. Hachai gives the order, and all 4 Franxx activate successfully. Hiro says he has no memory of piloting Strelizia, even though people told him he did. Ichigo, piloting Delphinium, looks toward him. Later, Hiro buries the bird that died. On his way back to Mistletoe, he finds Ichigo playing with a cat on the front porch. She tells him not to wander off, reminding him that this is his home now. She mentions that Naomi is alive and was taken to a hospital. She asks if he piloted Strelizia. Hiro struggles to remember but says he wants to try again. She warns him about 02 and the rumors that her partners die after 3 rides. Hiro says that without piloting, he feels useless. Goro calls him inside. Inside the mess hall, 02 is pouring honey all over her food. Miku finds it disgusting, but Kokoro laughs at her sweet tooth. Some are uncomfortable about 02's appearance and behavior. Futoshi says she's not like the rumors. Goro thinks her manners ruin her appearance. Zoram offers to partner with her, but she wipes honey on his uniform. Mitsuru stays quiet and watches Hiro. 02 sits next to Hiro and calls him darling, confusing everyone. Hiro is shocked he really did pilot. Nana enters and tells the squad she will be their caretaker, just like in the garden. Everyone is excited. Ichigo asks about 02's status, and Nana says HQ hasn't decided yet. Hiro asks 02 to let him pilot again. Nana says it is not his choice, orders must come from Papa. She takes 02 with her and scolds her for mixing with the squad. 02 says she only wanted breakfast with Hiro. Nana reminds her that the others are not ready to handle someone like her. 02 says the city feels suffocating. At Ape's headquarters, they discuss a Mahorvisic-class Klaxosaur that appeared at Plantation 13 and how Strelizia defeated it. Fuel supply is dropped, so they request to link with another plantation. The High Council agrees to begin the process. One member warns that 02's time with regular parasites will contaminate her, but Papa believes she should remain for now. In the boys' locker room, Hiro's sudden ability to pilot becomes the topic. Hiro says he feels like he did it. Goro tells him he always believed in him. Zoram doubts him. In the girls' locker room, Miku complains about the tight special underwear. Kokoro says connecting felt strange this time. Ichigo says it was like becoming one with someone else. The girls talk about 02 calling Hiro darling, which annoys Ichigo. She punches the wall and walks out. In the control room, Hachai explains that he will give the main instructions, but the leader unit will make the field decisions. He orders the connection to start. The girls cry out in discomfort. Hachai reminds them they must fully trust their partners to sync properly. The Franxx units begin to walk. Kokoro praises Futoshi. Zoram tries to show off but almost falls, and Delphinium catches him. Ichigo tells him to be careful. Hiro watches from a distance. 02 arrives by train. Nana and Hachai discuss testing Hiro in a real Franxx. At the docking area, Goro and Ichigo talk. 02 walks by, and Ichigo asks why she chose Hiro. 02 realizes his name is her darling's name. Ichigo thanks her for saving them but tells her to stay away from Hiro. 02 asks what she means to Hiro. Ichigo says she is the squad leader. 02 sniffs and licks her cheek, calling her sweet.
Nice.
Goro tries to comfort Ichigo, but she brushes him off. At Misteltein, the boys play ball. Futoshi wonders if they can fight like Hiro did. The others argue whether Hiro really piloted or if 02 did it alone. Zoram teases Hiro when he approaches and even kicks a ball at him. Hiro insists he did pilot. They start fighting, but Ichigo and Goro stop them. Just then, Ichigo receives a message from Nana. In the conference room, Nana and Hachai announce Hiro will take part in a mock battle. If he succeeds, he will become a parasite again. When asked to choose a partner, 02 volunteers. Ichigo quickly steps in and offers instead. Mitsuru questions her choice, but Goro supports it. Nana approves. 02 tells Ichigo to take care of her darling, which irritates her. Zoram and Miku volunteer as the opposing team. The teams prepare to launch. Zoram mocks Hiro again. Ichigo tells Hiro to focus on sinking, and she will handle the battle. Their Franxx activates with full sync. Hiro feels amazed. As the battle begins, Delphinium avoids attacks from Argentia, but then disconnects. Ichigo asks for a break to reconnect. Ichigo asks Hiro what 02 did differently. He remembers the kiss. She asks what that means. He explains it is when two people press their lips together. Ichigo decides to try it. She covers his eyes and kisses him. Afterward, Hiro says he feels nothing. Ichigo looks hurt. Zoram grows impatient and attacks. Miku tries to stop him, but he ignores her. He becomes too aggressive and tries to strike Delphinium. The unit begins to struggle. Hachai says the pair is not syncing properly. To stop the fight, Ichigo pilots alone and slams Argentia into a wall. Nana yells that it is dangerous, but the battle ends with both Franxx units disabled. 02 flips her hair and leaves. Hiro apologizes to Ichigo. She tries to hold back tears and says he was awful. Hiro remembers his childhood at the garden when he gave names to the other children. He had chosen the name Hiro for himself and named Ichigo based on her number. She found the idea of having a name special and asked him to name the others. Children gathered around him, asking for names. Mitsuru, standing off to the side, quietly asked for one too. In the present, Hiro finishes getting scanned after the mock battle. No issues are found. Ichigo waits outside and says she's glad to hear that. Hiro feels nervous as he looks at her lips but doesn't get to say anything before Nana calls her away. In the monitor room, Nana and Hachai discuss Hiro's condition. He took almost no damage from piloting with 02, which is strange. Hachai says Hiro could not sync with Delphinium but managed with Strelizia, even unconscious. They begin to wonder if it's due to 02 being a special case. Elsewhere, Goro notices Ichigo acting strange. He asks Hiro what happened between them in the cockpit. Hiro says Ichigo seemed angry earlier. Goro remembers how happy he was to be in the same squad with both of them. Hiro asks him to let Ichigo know it wasn't her fault. Goro agrees. He then brings up the rumors about 02. Hiro admits he wants to ride with her again. If she's the only one he can sync with, then that's what he'll do, because that's what they were made for. At the boarding house, Futoshi talks about Hiro possibly becoming a parasite again. Some of the team doubt it. Miku complains that Hiro wants to pilot with 02 again. She argues with Zoram over the mock battle. Kokoro tries to calm them down, saying this kind of fighting is bad for their team's performance. Miku brings up how Hiro failed to sync with Ichigo and says Goro must feel miserable about it. Ichigo hears them mention Goro and asks what they meant, but Miku avoids answering. The group continues to doubt Hiro, but Ichigo insists he can do it. Mitsuru accuses her of playing favorites. He says Hiro was always special and expected to lead them. But now, he believes it's time to move on and stop watching Hiro fall. Hiro trains alone. 02 watches him from above. When he leaves, she waits nearby, leaning on a pillar. He walks over and looks at her horns. She accuses him of staring and calls him a pervert. Hiro apologizes, but she tells him it's fine. Dr. Franxx once told her parasites do better when they're a little pervy. She says she was waiting for him and starts walking, telling him to follow her. In the hallway, she walks through a scanner with no issue, but Hiro gets stopped. He explains that children aren't allowed past this area. She shows him her S-rank pass and leads him through. They arrive at a balcony with a view of the city. Hiro is amazed, never having been to this part of the plantation. He looks at her again and says he wants to give her a proper name. She tells him her code is enough. Hiro finds that boring. 02 walks across the railing, balancing with ease. She talks about how people become numbers after death and how names don't matter. She calls the city lifeless. Hiro tells her to come back because it's dangerous. She asks if he wants to run away with her. Then she laughs and says she was only joking. At headquarters, Hachai announces a new sortie. Nana tells the squad this Klaxosaur is smaller than the last one. Miku feels relieved. Nana also says Strelizia won't be part of this mission. The squad needs to learn how to defend Plantation 13 by themselves. Before the battle, Goro checks on Ichigo. He tells her not to dwell on the mock battle. She says she understands and promises to do her best as squad leader. They fist bump. Zoram is excited, and Miku warns him not to overdo things. Inside the Franxx, Mitsuru and Ikuno struggle to connect due to poor compatibility. Mitsuru gives up, and Hachai tells them to stay behind. The other 3 units move to a large hole and enter the lower level. Hachai explains they need to destroy the Klaxosaur's core using their weapons powered by magma energy. At base, Nana speaks with Mitsuru and Ikuno. She assumes Ikuno is tired and offers to check her later. Mitsuru wonders if they're just incompatible. Nana says this happens and doesn't mean they need to split up. On the battlefield, Ichigo spots the Klaxosaur. The team spreads out and attacks. Zoram gets shocked and Miku passes out. Futoshi exposes the core and Ichigo lands a hit. Suddenly, more Klaxosaurs fall from the ceiling. The team retreats into a room and seals it. Hiro learns about the situation and feels anxious. 02 says it wouldn't have gone this way if she had been sent. Hiro asks to help. Hachai says he's not an official pilot and can't give permission. 02 begs to go with him. Nana says no. Mitsuru steps up and offers to pilot with 02. He says he can handle it if Hiro could. Nana warns him Strelizia is not like other Franxx. Hiro hesitates but tells 02 to go with Mitsuru. She goes cold and agrees. As Mitsuru walks past, he tells Hiro not to regret this decision. Hiro watches them bored and feels something deep inside. He wanted to be the one piloting with her. On the battlefield, Miku wakes up and Zoram hugs her. They reconnect and rejoin the fight. Hachai tells the squad that Strelizia is on its way. Ichigo wonders who's piloting it. She remembers kissing Hiro and loses focus, weakening her sync with Goro. The Klaxosaurs take advantage and break in. The team flees but gets trapped again. Ichigo blames herself for being distracted and feels she is unfit to lead. Strelizia arrives and destroys several enemies. Mitsuru tells the others to escape. Hachai confirms their evacuation. Mitsuru feels powerful and overconfident. He says he wants to be 02's partner permanently. Hiro and Ikuno are shocked. 02 quietly says she will go all out. Nana and Hachai order Strelizia to stop since the others are safe. 02 ignores them. During recovery, Zoram apologizes to Miku. When Strelizia is brought back, 02 steps out and waves at Hiro. He waves back, but notices Mitsuru doesn't appear. Inside the cockpit, Mitsuru lies unconscious and bleeding. 02 says he is not her darling. Only Hiro is. At Ape headquarters, Papa announces that Klaxosaur activity is rising. Bigger ones are now appearing in many areas. One Ape member says the elite team, the 9 Seconds, is handling things for now, but they still have other missions to do. Someone questions how long Strelizia will be allowed to stay away from the front lines. Now that Hiro's skills are confirmed, there's no reason to keep Strelizia back. Another member adds that it's dangerous to let her mix with unworthy pilots any longer. At Mistletane's infirmary, Mitsuru lies in bed, trembling with fear. He refuses to eat, and his food is taken by Futoshi. The group notices how scared and shaken Mitsuru is. Hiro walks in and asks what 02 did to him. Mitsuru warns that she tried to consume him entirely, not just his body, but his very soul. At first, everything was fine, but then she changed and became violent. The worst part, he says, was her smile through it all. Kokoro rushes to calm him. Mitsuru begs Hiro not to ride with her again, then passes out. Hiro is left confused and disturbed, while Ichigo and Futoshi help lay Mitsuru back down. Outside, Zoram and Futoshi play ball. Ichigo walks up to Hiro to talk about 02. She says she cannot trust someone like that, especially after what happened to Mitsuru. She worries Hiro might die too. Hiro doesn't answer but seems troubled. 02 rides in the elevator with Hachai and Nana. She says she wants to leave the city. Nana scolds her, saying Mitsuru almost died. 02 doesn't care. She only wants to be with Hiro and thinks the others are weak and already doomed. Hachai reminds her she's different, but he's talking about her skills, not her being non-human. Nana adds that HQ has ordered her return to the front. 02 looks upset. Later, Hiro trains alone. His mind is full of thoughts about 02, Mitsuru's injuries, and the rumors. He keeps running. The rest of Squad 13 talks about what happened. Kokoro believes Hiro will ride with 02 again. Miku argues with her and says it's reckless. Ichigo reminds the team they all risk dying if they keep making mistakes. Miku brings up how Ichigo broke down during the last mission. Ichigo admits she did and promises it won't happen again. She asks everyone to work together. Even Miku agrees. Ichigo encourages Ikuno to support Mitsuru as his partner. Plantation 13 prepares to move and meet with Plantation 26. At the Franxx dock, 02 stands before Strelizia. Hiro sees her and hides. She walks away without a word. At the bathhouse, Hiro sits alone, thinking. This would be his second ride with her. 02 enters the bath, corners him, and tells him to run away with her. She says he is her only partner and that nothing else matters. She stops to ask if he thinks she's a monster too. Before Hiro can respond, alarms go off. A Klaxosaur is detected. Mitsuru tries to get up but fails. Ikuno offers to help, and even though he refuses, she ends up catching him when he nearly collapses. The pilots are told to connect. Mitsuru hopes they can sync, and Ikuno touches the spot where Ichigo had comforted her earlier. They finally manage to connect and join the others in battle. Hiro and 02 arrive at the control room, but Nana tells them they're not sending out Strelizia. On the battlefield, the squad tries to hold off the Klaxosaur. Suddenly, another one comes from behind and grabs Argentia. Chlorophytum and Genista are also pinned. Delphinium helps them break free, but then the Klaxosaur attacks from underground, catching them off guard again. 02 watches and says they should help. A group of guards arrives to take her away. Nana says she is returning to the front lines. 02 throws one of the guards across the room. The others raise their weapons. She looks sad but agrees to go. She gently touches Hiro's face and says goodbye. Her horns press against his forehead. She says she really believed they could be together. Nana explains that the order came from Papa. Hiro asks if the partner-killer rumors are true. Nana explains that 02 is special and not fully human. Her power harms the boys who pilot with her. Hiro thinks about all she said. He remembers how she asked him to be her darling. Without waiting, he runs out of the room. 02 walks through the hallway and turns around. Hiro reaches a gate he can't pass but calls out to her. He admits he was afraid, not because of her, but because he didn't believe in himself. He says he doesn't care about piloting. He just wants to be with her. He asks her to stay. 02 smiles. She defeats the guards and walks up to Hiro. She says no one has ever spoken to her like that before. He says it was a first for him too. She grins and asks if he wants to ride with her. Hiro nods. They run through the gate together and board Strelizia. Nana appears on the monitor and tells them to stop, but 02 hangs up. She asks if Hiro is ready. He admits he's nervous, but she tells him he can do it. They connect successfully and launch into the air. Hiro feels true joy. This is his first time piloting consciously. They fly to the battlefield, where the others are still struggling. Hiro tells Ichigo that they're here to help. The squad is surprised but follows Ichigo's lead. Strelizia grabs the enemy, revealing it's one long Klaxosaur. The other Franxx units hold it down. Ichigo tells Hiro to finish it. Strelizia dives into its mouth. 02 smirks at Ichigo before stabbing the core. The Klaxosaur is destroyed. Hachai announces the battle is over and tells them to return. At the base, Nana wonders if 02 planned everything. Hachai says the data shows Hiro is compatible. He wonders how Papa will react. Hiro reflects on his dream of flying. Now, with 02, he feels he has found his wings. Even if it ends badly, he is happy to fly beside her. Plantation Cerasus begins the kissing operation with Plantation Chrysanthemum. Squad 13 watches from their dormitory, Mistletoe. Hiro thinks back to when 02 first explained that a kiss is something special. Now, he wonders if adults also kiss, or who even came up with the idea of calling the connection between plantations a kiss. The children are curious. Zoram doesn't understand what kissing means. Miku teases him and gives a vague answer, calling it two plantations getting stuck together. Kokoro laughs at her answer. Ikuno gives a proper explanation. Kissing is a transfer of magma fuel through a pipe. Mitsuru explains that magma fuel is needed to keep the adults and children alive, and it powers the Franxx. Goro warns that the energy transfer could attract Klaxosaurs. Hiro tries to calm everyone by reminding them they have Strelizia. Ichigo agrees, but her voice lacks confidence. The next day, a formal ceremony takes place. The children from Plantation 26 attend, looking calm and controlled. Squad 13 attends too, and the mayor encourages them to fight bravely for the future. Hiro notices the attention makes everyone feel more important, though they all sense a hard battle coming. 02 does not attend. Back at Mistletoe, Goro finds Hiro running a fever. Hiro insists he feels fine, but Goro isn't convinced. Later, the group talks about the ceremony and the upcoming battle. They feel nervous but trust Strelizia. The group is happy Hiro feels normal despite the rumors about 02. Hiro thanks everyone and asks to be accepted as one of them. They gladly agree, welcoming him as a true member. Kokoro sees Mitsuru storm off silently. The next morning, Ichigo meets Hiro on the way to breakfast. She adjusts his collar and he seems surprised. She pretends not to notice and walks with him to the mess hall. Inside, 02 hugs Hiro and drags him to the boys' table. She sits in Futoshi's spot, which annoys Zoram. Kokoro invites Futoshi to sit with her. Everyone prays to Papa, but 02 eats on her own. She offers Hiro a bite of her toast, which he shyly accepts. Kokoro tries to copy her and feeds Futoshi too. Miku says Kokoro is too easily influenced. Hiro shows 02 around Mistletoe. He explains the routine, scheduled wake-up times, meals, and showers. Everything is provided. They look out a window where it rains, despite being under a dome. 02 asks him to make it rain. He tells her only Papa can do that. She then says she wanted the tour because she plans to stay there. She jumps on Goro's bed just as Goro and Zoram walk in. They tell her to leave the boys' side. Hiro takes her away. Ichigo confronts Nana about this. Nana confirms 02 has been allowed to live with them and says Hiro's promotion is likely. She asks the team to help 02 feel at home. Outside the elevator, Goro waits for Ichigo. They talk about Hiro and how much he has changed since piloting Strelizia. They decide to focus on preparing for the coming battle. In the greenhouse, Mitsuru takes pills and questions why he wasn't chosen instead of Hiro. He struggles to breathe. Kokoro sees him and offers help, but he accuses her of pity. She tries to explain, but he walks away, asking to be left alone. In the attic, Ichigo sets up a room for 02. 02 says she wants to stay with Hiro. Ichigo tells her the rules, and 02 teases her for being bossy. In the bathroom, Hiro splashes water on his face, clearly in pain. He holds his chest and looks uneasy. Squad 13 meets Squad 26 and notices their Franxx look different. Zoram excitedly asks if any children ever become adults. Their leader, 90, doesn't understand at first, then realizes Zoram doesn't know the truth. He says no one has become an adult. Zoram becomes quiet, and Futoshi comforts him. 90 notices the nicknames and learns that Hiro gave them out. He says Hiro is known among the children, but he questions why Squad 13 is so different since they will all die eventually anyway. Goro walks into his room and finds Hiro collapsed. Hiro clutches his chest where a blue tumor is growing. Goro asks if it's from riding with 02. Hiro stays silent. Goro tries to get help, but Hiro stops him. At headquarters, Nana checks Hiro's blood data and is shocked he's still alive. His body reacts differently from the others who rode with 02. She warns against letting him pilot again. Hachai insists they need Strelizia. Hiro drinks water and coughs. Goro begs him not to ride again, but Hiro insists. He says he feels alive when piloting and is willing to risk everything. He walks out with a smile, leaving Goro speechless. A Klaxosaur swarm is detected. Hachai calls a meeting. He says up to 150 Klaxosaurs are coming in just over a day. Squad 13 is to serve as backup. Zoram and Miku are annoyed. Hachai adds that Strelizia will lead the front line near the pipeline. Squad 26 looks worried. Nana enters with 02 and Hiro. 90 steps up, saying he refuses to work with Strelizia. He blames 02 for abandoning their unit 2 years ago and getting his partner killed. 02 coldly says weaklings die. Hiro steps between them and promises to keep her under control. Squad 13 is upset about being backup. Goro says Strelizia shouldn't be involved, but Ichigo surprises him by saying they need her. That night, Goro can't sleep. He hears Hiro suffering. Goro goes outside and sees Ichigo walking with 02. Outside the greenhouse, Ichigo tells 02 to follow the rules during the battle. 02 teases her for being bossy. Ichigo asks her to be kind to Hiro. 02 replies that Hiro chose her and dying wouldn't matter to him. Ichigo slaps her. 02's limiter falls off. Her horns glow red, and she asks what human even means. Rain begins to fall. When Ichigo returns, Goro gives her a towel. She asks if he saw it. He says yes, but admits he doesn't know how to help her. The next morning, 02 and Hiro stand by the lake. The air smells fresh after the rain. She reminds him this is where they first met. Hiro thanks her for letting him fly. She opens his uniform and says she is his only partner. She admits none of her partners lasted more than 3 rides. She sees the tumor and calls it beautiful. She asks if he wants out. Hiro says no. She twirls happily. Hiro narrates that even if these wings break, he will still fly because that is why he was born. A giant Klaxosaur is approaching, with only a few hours left until it reaches them. In the control room, Nana and Hachai stare at the screen, surprised by how massive it is. In the bathroom, Ichigo finishes her bath and quietly pats her face, deep in thought. In the boys' room, Goro asks Hiro if he still plans to ride Strelizia. Hiro says yes, and walks out. Goro mutters that he's a fool. In the girls' changing room, Kokoro says she heard the Klaxosaur count is higher than expected. She wonders if they will survive. Ikuno tries to stay positive. Ichigo doesn't speak and gently touches her lips. In the boys' room, Mitsuru warns the others not to be too confident. Zoram says he's ready, and with Strelizia on their side, things should go fine. Futoshi adds that they're strong together. Zoram complains that Squad 26 shouldn't get all the credit. Mitsuru says that's not the point. Outside, Goro tells Ichigo to talk to Hiro before they leave. When Hiro walks by, Goro pushes her forward. Ichigo asks if he slept. He says no and compliments her for being a good leader. Then he spots 02 and runs after her. In the cockpit, Ichigo tells Goro that Hiro said thanks. She also says they should save Strelizia for the final blow. The Franxx units deploy. Hachai gives Squad 26 control of the battlefield and tells Squad 13 to wait. Strelizia also stays back. Hachai shows the group another large Klaxosaur that doesn't match their records. They label it Beta and note how intelligent it seems. Squad 26 begins their attack. They quickly defeat the Conrad-class Klaxosaurs with clean teamwork. 90 tells his squad to remain calm and steady. Zoram and Goro feel annoyed by his tone, but Mitsuru admits that Squad 26 is experienced. The battle intensifies. Genista has trouble landing a hit. One Klaxosaur knocks it down, and Futoshi panics. Argentea misses a strike and crashes into Chlorophytum, causing more frustration between Zoram and Mitsuru. Genista nearly gets hit again, but Delphinium jumps in and saves it. Ichigo tells Zoram to lure the enemy without taking risks and asks Mitsuru to support Genista. 90 watches and seems impressed by Squad 13's skill. In Strelizia, Hiro breathes heavily and clutches his chest. 02 watches the fight and criticizes Squad 13's second struggle. She says she wants to fight too. Hiro asks why she enjoys it. She says it's because she's a monster. She asks him why he fights. He says it's to protect Papa and the adults because that's what he was born to do. Strelizia moves in and starts destroying Klaxosaurs easily. 90 yells at them for disobeying orders. Hiro says he only wants to protect his squad. He ends the call before 90 can argue. Another pilot asks 90 what to do, and he says to ignore them and finish the battle fast. Inside Strelizia, Hiro starts losing strength. His face shows blue veins again. 02 watches him and asks if that's all he can manage. Even in pain, Hiro keeps going. Ichigo tells them to fall back, but Hiro refuses. The Klaxosaur suddenly changes form, becoming a huge humanoid type. Squad 26 attacks it, but it throws them aside with ease. 90 tries to give orders but realizes they're out of fuel. Argentea grabs them just in time. Hachai tells Squad 26 to retreat and lets Squad 13 take over. Zoram protests, but Goro reminds him only Strelizia can break through the core. Ichigo agrees and says they will support Strelizia. The team holds down the Klaxosaur. Genista nearly slips, but Chlorophytum grabs its hand. Ikuno reminds Mitsuru to focus, and he snaps back. Squad 26 uses their equipment to bind the Klaxosaur. Strelizia launches into the air and lands a strong blow. Everyone thinks it's over, but the creature suddenly swipes them away and mutates again. Hiro passes out. The Klaxosaur starts smashing Strelizia against the wall. With Hiro unconscious, their connection breaks and 02 takes full control. Strelizia enters stampede mode. The others watch in shock. Ichigo begins to cry and disconnects from Goro. She thinks Hiro is dead. The others panic. Mitsuru warns that the Klaxosaur will break through the wall. Ichigo says she couldn't stop him from piloting. Goro grabs her and tells her to get it together for everyone's sake. Inside a vision, Hiro finds himself at the same place where Naomi once left. He sees her again. Naomi scolds him for giving up. He says he's happy he was useful, but she calls him a liar and walks away. Hiro then sees 02 standing under a tree. She turns away and disappears. He realizes she's still fighting alone and needs him. He wakes up and sees her struggling inside Strelizia. Hiro hugs her from behind and calms her down. He tells her that he is her partner and he's staying by her side. Their connection returns. The two rise again. The battle continues. The squad creates another opening. Strelizia flies straight into the enemy's core. Everyone watches as they land the final blow. Dr. Franxx watches and says her wish might be coming true. Hiro says he found a new reason to pilot to be her wings. 02 believes in him. The battle ends. Strelizia walks away from the destroyed Klaxosaur. The other squads cheer. Ichigo hugs Hiro in relief. Everyone is proud. 02 watches from a distance and says she still needs to fight more Klaxosaurs. From afar, a few members of the 9 Seconds observe. One of them notes that Hiro and 02 are starting to match perfectly. That wraps up today's recap. If you liked what you saw, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling updates. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our next adventure. Until then, take care and see you soon.